Hello and welcome back to my channel where your wellness adventure starts, and here I keep it as simple as ABC. In today's video, I will be addressing a common question that many women have. Can you be pregnant and still have your period? It's a very common concern and it can cause confusion and anxiety especially for first-time moms. So in this video, we'll be explaining what is happening when you think you're seeing your period. So let's get started. Can you be pregnant and still have your period? The short answer is no. When you are pregnant, you can't have a true period. Period simply means the shedding of the uterine lining when the egg isn't fertilized. But in pregnancy, the egg has been fertilized, so the uterine lining is actually getting maintained to support the developing baby, not shedding itself again. However, there are several reasons why you might experience bleeding during pregnancy, and that's what we're going to look into today. The common reason why women experience bleeding during pregnancy is called implantation bleeding. Implantation bleeding is very common, and it usually happens between 10 to 14 days after conception. And implantation bleeding is not a heavy bleeding. It's just spotting, which can be light or even brownish, and it lasts for just 1 day or even 2 days. And it doesn't come with cramps, it doesn't come with clots. The second reason why you could be experiencing bleeding during pregnancy is what is known as hormonal bleeding. This hormonal bleeding, as the name implies, is due to hormonal fluctuations. This happens because those hormones that regulate your menstrual cycle are still very active. And this type of bleeding is just very light and is irregular. Most times it happens during that time that you would normally see your period. The next thing that is happening when you are bleeding while pregnant could be what is known as cervical changes. During pregnancy, there is increased blood flow to the cervix, and as a result, the cervix tends to be more sensitive. So when you indulge in activities like sex, pelvic examination, that is ultrasound examination, or even transvaginal ultrasound, or even exercise, it could result to light bleeding. Cervical changes are usually light and they quickly stop on their own. They are not heavy. Okay, so I get it now. Light bleeding. What about if I'm experiencing heavier bleeding? Light bleeding is very common, but it doesn't mean that heavier bleeding cannot occur. So here are a few possibilities why a woman will experience or can experience heavier bleeding. Number one is miscarriage, which is spontaneous loss of a pregnancy. Early miscarriage, that is that miscarriage that usually happens around 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. You could mistake it to be a period, but many times it's heavier than your usual period. And it usually comes with lots of cramping and pain that you will know that something is not all right, that something more serious is ongoing. The next possibility is ectopic pregnancy. Ectopic pregnancy simply means the fertilized egg attaching itself outside of the womb, the uterine line, the uterus, which usually happens on the fallopian tube. That could come with lots of pain and bleeding. Ectopic pregnancy requires immediate medical intervention. The next possibility is what is known as subchorionic hemorrhage. This is when there is a bleeding between the uterine lining and the placenta. It can cause spotting or heavier bleeding. But many women go on to have a healthy baby, even though they're experiencing that subchorionic hemorrhage. Any bleeding that is more than light spotting should be evaluated by a healthcare provider. So experience bleeding, whether the light spotting or the heavier bleeding, is important for you not to panic and be in a fright mode. Just try and put yourself together and go get it checked out. Let it be examined to find out the real cause behind that, whether light bleeding or heavier bleeding. So in conclusion, can you have a true period while pregnant? The answer is no. While you might experience some kind of bleeding, which could be harmless, like the implantation bleeding or the cervical changes. It is important to always do what? Consult with your healthcare provider to find out the root cause. Even if you're experiencing any of these changes I just mentioned, you are still going to have a healthy baby. He wish above all things that you and I prosper and be in good health, even as our soul prosper. Let me know your thoughts, or even your position, or even your experiences in the comment section below. Or even if you have any question, go ahead and drop it. I'm here to help. Go ahead, like and share this video with your loved ones. Thank you for tuning in today.